Technology flings us into the future, towards efficiency and productivity and speed. What do these achievements give us, and what do they strip away? In art, we create our most profound aspirations. We recognize who we are and imagine who we must become. Both art and technology show us our horizons and seek to transcend these limits. Our world teeters on the brink of collapse. To meet this challenge, artists and technologists must come together. To imagine, to make, to create. The grid connects these two worlds by fusing their strengths. Because art powers technology.
Good morning from San Francisco. I'm Martin from Open Austria, and I welcome you to the Grid Upload. The purpose of this event is to give you a sense of what the Grid is all about, to introduce the faces behind this new initiative and organization, and share a preview of our mission, vision, and activities. To that end, let me introduce to you my colleague, Clara, who runs EUNIC Silicon Valley, the institution which really has initiated the Grid together with our local partners here in the Bay Area. So Clara, good morning to you. And what is the Grid?
Hi, Martin. Thank you so much for this introduction. And let me answer your question by explaining the context in which the Grid operates. So by now, it's clear to everyone that humanity is living a new paradigm, that we were facing unprecedented challenges even before Corona. And when you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, you're surrounded by all this mesmerizing innovation and creativity. This is where the technology is being developed that determines all of our lives in the present and for years to come. This is also where most of the technology is being developed that will give humanity a fighting chance. So one could say this is the modern cradle of innovation. And the idea for the Grid was born out of a deep conviction that art powers technology, that technology is fueled by artistic inquiries, by unconventional, out-of-the-box approaches to complex problems. We truly believe that art helps shape a technology that is more inclusive and puts the human right back at its center. So right here in Silicon Valley, this incredible melting pot of diverse voices and talents from around the world, we saw a need. We saw the need to bundle all these strengths and channel humanity's biggest resources by matching artists and technologists. And the first step in accomplishing this was building a truly global network, a community of sorts of shared common values that include international art organizations, for-profit technology companies, representatives from the civil society, academia, local and international government offices, startups, artists, and technologists. And together with local communities, we can work on the challenges of today to build a better tomorrow.
Wonderful, Clara. So the Grid was initiated by EUNIC Silicon Valley. Very quickly, what is EUNIC?
So in a nutshell, EUNIC is a group of cultural institutions from different European countries that work together on common initiatives and projects around the world. And we founded EUNIC Silicon Valley pretty much exactly 1 year ago. And the Grid is our first big common project as a local cluster for art and technology. And with that, I'd like to welcome all of our amazing EUNIC Silicon Valley members. Let's start in order of appearance. Juliette from the Consul General of France. Here we have Bettina from the Goethe Institute, Nicola from Swissnex. Who else is joining us? Hannah from the French American Association, Cultural Association, Anna Maria of the Italian Cultural Institute. And we're almost there.
Yeah, we are still missing Robert, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he must come back again, so let's wait for him.
Right. But before we let anyone, we're not entirely complete at this point, but let's start a round of introduction and maybe in a way of introducing yourselves, you could just answer in 1 or 2 sentences why you chose to support the grid. Juliette, you want to go first?
Yeah. So good morning. Thank you, Clara. So I'm Juliette from the French consulate. So why the grid? I would say that I think we share the same conviction that even now, when all the borders are closed, we need to engage artists in a really international and transdisciplinary dialogue with tech communities.
Excellent. Bettina.
Yeah, I'm Bettina from the Goethe Institute, and I believe strongly in the importance, but also in the strength and the necessity of creating the dialogue and discussing. Creating a platform for the exchange for art and technology.
Excellent, thank you. Nicola, what's your response?
Yeah, I am Nicola from SwissNext San Francisco. I think as well, it's not only about technology, but also about transporting values in these times, which are important. And I think we are the right group of states, of people who can make a difference.
Yes, we strongly believe that. And Hannah, we will reach out to you in a second about a different project. So Anna Maria, our Italian colleague, why do you support the
Hi, I'm
grid?
Anna Maria from the Italian Cultural Institute of San Francisco. And I hope the grid could be the sparkle that could ignite collaborations between art and tech, and having the being Italian and having the beacon of Leonardo da Vinci in mind. I hope in a sort of renaissance, as the Silicon Valley is the place where things happen, where things may change. I hope in a sort of a new renaissance for art and tech. Thank you, all of you, for your amazing job.
Thank you. Well, this is the team. These are the faces behind the initiative. Thank you so much. We'll reach out to you a little further down the road. And with that, we'd like to introduce
We'd like to introduce a very, very special guest. EUNIC is the European Union's preferred partner in cultural relations abroad, and we are very honored to have with us today, joining us from Washington, D.C., the EU's ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Stavros Lambrinidis. Ambassador, the grid is also bridging Europe and the United States. Given the current global challenges we're all facing, what role do you see for the European Union in Silicon Valley, and how can the grid help?
Hi. Hi to everyone. Martin, it's great to see you again. Clara as well. I am delighted to join the Austrian consulate in San Francisco today to kick off the grid as the first initiative of the newly established European House of Culture. And congratulations also to all the National Institutes of Culture in the Bay Area for hosting the very first European House of Culture in the United States. And if you think that's not a big deal, it's a big deal, considering there are only 5 in the entire world to be granted this new designation. So, you know, I, for one, I'm very excited for what they have in store, you have in store. Now, this first project that brings artists together with technology really resonates with me. Techni is a Greek word. It means arts and crafts. Logos is a Greek word. It means speech and, more broadly, reason. Technology, technologia, is fundamentally a word that marries, bridges together art and logos. So the marriage you're attempting today between art and technology, maybe you can draw some inspiration and hope from the fact that it's embedded in ancient Greek etymological wisdom. Now, humanism, artistic sensibility, creativity, innovation, and the freedoms that allow for those to flourish and to cross-pollinate. This is, in my view at least, where Silicon Valley and Europe complement each other in so many ways, ways that can lead to a world that is much brighter in the future. Neither art, techni, no reason can truly exist and flourish without free human beings creating and thinking freely. A lack of freedom stifles creativity and innovation. And authoritarianism, by definition, restricts speech, human rights, and reason. It even defines them. So values are not, they cannot be divorced from the soul of Silicon Valley or from the soul of Europe. They are the very essence of both. Now, the grid provides a wonderful opportunity for the very best of Europe and the very best of the United States to meet and to join forces. It enables a common approach towards creativity and innovation, thinking out of the box, as Clara said, a deep concern for ethics and fundamental rights, a deep conviction in humanistic values and a global perspective that goes even beyond Europe and Silicon Valley. Let us not forget, what we are deciding among each other, Americans and Europeans, is setting the future, not just of technology, but also of its use, of the values that go with it. And we've seen other countries using technology in order to promote other values, not our values, not democracy, not freedom, not openness. You know, the grid also believes, as you've discussed, that many of the global challenges today, such as even COVID-19, climate change, disinformation, will require technological solutions. But we need to make sure that those solutions don't become problems in themselves, which is why the grid believes in the power of art to imagine a better future for all of us. Now, think about contact tracing apps. We are all discussing them. They're going to be so tremendously important in allowing us to gradually open up our societies after COVID. They can save lives, but they can also create an unprecedented potential for constant surveillance, if not time limited, if not anonymized, if not used by democratic governments. Think about the beauty of artistic creativity, which requires indeed unfettered thinking. Often the need to break one's own internal individual barriers of feelings or thoughts, the exact opposite of self-censorship. And think about the ugliness of unfettered surveillance that often leads people precisely to that, to self-censorship. Martin, my fear has always been that our freedoms will not be taken away in one fell swoop by some authoritarian government in our democracies, but they could very well be chipped away bit by bit with our own consent, getting used to things. So it is a tremendous, tremendous responsibility for tech companies, for governments, and for the creativity and the imagination and the barrier-breaking presence of artists to be able to avoid that. Now, our vision for major technology policy initiatives launched this year in Europe stems precisely from European values and fundamental rights. We believe that the human being is and should remain at the center. To paraphrase European Union Commissioner Executive Vice President Margaret Vestager, who is very well known in Silicon Valley, I have to say, maybe not in Washington that much, although she's quite well known here as well, but very well known in Silicon Valley. At the heart of our debates about technology is the question of how to make sure that digital technology will be technology with purpose. For businesses in both the US and Europe, I think there's only one sustainable option: to build technology that serves society and respects people's fundamental rights and freedoms. We certainly look forward to helping to lead the way in the development of human-centered technologies, but also in helping to create the frameworks that shape and direct them. Now, in closing, Martin, Clara, dear friends, together with the grid, the EU and the US can combine our strengths to envision a path out of the current predicaments and towards a future that is fair, that is equal, and that is free. We are at a crossroads, a values crossroads in the world today. Let's join forces to bring the world that we want to the forefront. So congratulations, good strength, and good luck.
Thank you so much. That is amazing. And with that, given everything that you just said, I think it's important to highlight another institution, the one that made all of this possible. We're moving on now to Brussels, where we're joined by Kieft, who leads the European Houses of Culture program at EUNIC Global. So hi, Robert.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Hello, Martin. Hello, Clara. Hello, everybody else. And good morning from Brussels, where it is evening.
Good evening. So, Robert, the grid is generously supported by a unique grant in the framework of the European Houses of Culture project, which you will present in a second, initiated by the European Parliament and implemented by EUNIC. So my question to you would be, why was the grid selected out of 44 applications worldwide?
Yeah, good question. So very happy to join you today, and let me just start by congratulating you all and the whole team with today's event, with the impressive steps already taken by the grid. In these unprecedented times, managing or adapting any cultural project is, of course, a major challenge, let alone a multi-stakeholder one like the one that you're managing. So kudos to everyone there. My name is Robert. I'm project manager for the European Houses of Culture at EUNIC Global. EUNIC, which stands for European Union National Institutes for Culture, is the European network of organizations engaging in cultural relations worldwide, including national cultural institutes or ministries of foreign affairs or of culture. What we do is, well, we bring to life European cultural collaboration in more than 90 countries worldwide in 120 so-called clusters, of which, you know, the consortium in the San Francisco Bay Area is one. And our members are coming from all EU member states as well as from the UK. Now, other than bringing cultural collaboration to life worldwide, we also advocate for a prominent role of culture in international relations. And in that role, we are a strategic partner of the EU, and we are actively involved in the further definition of European cultural policy and the strategy for international cultural relations on the European level. Now, the European Houses of Culture is one of the flagship projects for the network, and this fully reflects the role that we have as partner of the EU. As you said already, the project is a so-called preparatory action initiated by the European Parliament, and as such, it has the overall goal to test new ways of collaboration in culture, and in that way contributing to future EU policy, future EU strategies, by coming up with policy recommendations, by coming up with practice recommendations on how international cultural relations can be done on the European, on the multilateral level, besides the bilateral level that is already happening. Now, with the European Houses of Culture, we want to bring culture in European international relations to the next level, to really move forward towards creating partnerships that are based on, you know, important values such as mutual listening, mutual learning between all the different partners involved, between all the different people involved as well, based on real co-creation, and have an eye on, or actually I should say, are actually based on local context worldwide. Basically, this is moving towards truly equal partnerships. Now, so in this framework, the European Houses of Culture last year invited colleagues working in the EUNIC network in non-EU countries to team up with their partners from other EU countries, to team up with their EU delegation in the host country, and of course with their local stakeholders, cultural stakeholders, or from any other industry basically, to jointly design and implement a project that fits, you know, the relevant local context. Now, after 2 rounds of selection, the grid was selected and is now implemented this year as one of the pilot projects. Other projects are happening in Sri Lanka, in Mongolia, in Benin and Ethiopia, and there's one project in El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. So as you all will notice, it's truly worldwide initiative. Now, to come back to your question, why was the grid actually selected? It wasn't an easy choice, I have to say, as the independent selection committee of 5 received a large number of quite diverse project proposals. And the grid was seen by the jury as considerably relevant to the local context. And at the same time, by extension, relevant to the global context, since your local context is also quite global. So this direct link made what is local and what is globally relevant was perceived really well. Now, and aside from the proposal being well elaborated all around, the jury also saw the project as an answer to, and this is their words, a silent war between tech and arts, and acknowledged the need to support the artists, which is a duty basically for all European actors to support worldwide. Another thing, I'm not there yet. Another thing was that the committee saw a lot of potential in the strategic dialogue that is now shaped and the partnerships that the project entails between, let's say, both worlds of arts and tech, and helping to create a common language basically between the two, and to really come up with innovative solutions to various questions, including a number of questions as well. And the last thing I want to point out here is there was one other thing that really stood out, was that the connection was really made between the different EUNIC clusters in 3 US cities. So the one in New York, the one in Washington, DC, and of course the one in the San Francisco Bay Area. And in a country as large and complex as the US, this really offers interesting testing ground for different ways of collaboration.
Perfect.
But I'm not going to, because of course we want to hear more about the project. So I just want to wish the team the best of luck with the project, and be sure that we'll be keeping a close eye on the project from this side of the sea.
Thank you so much, Robert, in Brussels, local and yet global. That's exactly what the grid is. The grid also connects the worlds of art and technology. And of course, we're here in Silicon Valley, in many ways the home of technology and innovation. And I would now like to welcome Eric Loeb, the Executive Vice President for Government Relations at Salesforce here in San Francisco. Eric and his team have supported the grid from the very beginning, not just financially, but also by showing an incredible willingness to engage with the grid's mission and vision. Eric, welcome to this celebration of the grid. First of all, thank you for your support. And here's my question. Why is it important for a technology company like Salesforce to engage with the arts?
It's a pleasure to be here today. And first of all, my thanks to the ambassador and to Robert for your inspiration and to provide such great context for why the grid is going to be such a powerful initiative. And I also appreciate Martin and Clara and the entire Open Austria team, all that you have done for bringing us together today and for bringing together art and technology and to bring together new ways of thinking and collaborating. It's so timely. The work of the grid, it comes at a crucial time. We're all mindful here that this is a painful and historic context that we're living in with COVID, with the serious economic challenges, and with the racial injustice that we are experiencing and living. And this is all areas that we have to put effort into, and we have to meaningfully improve these challenges in every way. These 3 crises, they also teach us that we need to collaborate in new ways. And with so much weighing on our thoughts, it's among the reasons that it makes me optimistic and encouraged to be with this group, because this is about thinking and bringing together new ideas and new ways of solving things. And with your leadership and your focus on sharing ideas, challenging each other to think creatively and to think technically at the same time, and as the ambassador said so well, to connect our transatlantic communities of artists and technologists and to solve big problems in different ways and in new ways. So the time, while so challenging and so heavy on our hearts in so many ways, could not be more profound for all of us and for our community. And community bonds, they are very important to Salesforce. I know that for Martin and Claire, we talked about this a lot. We at Salesforce, we call our internal and external community our ohana. It's a Hawaiian word for our family. And we think about our community through the core values of the company that we practice every day of trust, success, innovation, and equality. And how we can bring all of those values to all of our community relationships. So that's why this partnership with Open Austria and EUNIC is so strong, why I feel it's such a great partnership with such strong values alignment and a big vision of what is possible, and we need big visions. So I love the grid and have enthusiasm for it. You know, we are, of course, as Salesforce, it's a technology company, but with a strong passion for the arts. There's the physical part. We bring art into all of our public spaces in many different medium, but it's also part of our practice. One thing that already has started with the grid is a collaboration with the Salesforce chief scientist, Richard Sofer, and among things, he leads all of our AI work for the company. And through your help, he has started a really exciting project with the author Daniel Kellman, Austrian and German author, to work on a creative writing project using AI to craft prose. And it's one of those unusual collaborations that the grid was meant for. We've also discussed an exciting area, Tableau, a Salesforce company that recently came into the Ohana, is all about fusing art and technology every day. In Tableau, users create works of art utilizing data points on the platform, and at its core, it's a visual platform and provides an ability to process huge amounts of data and to make it easy to view. So people have taken this to a whole new level, and it's an amazing intersection of art and analytics and people's experiences with that information. So as I've talked through this with some of my just fascinating colleagues at Tableau, they talk about this relationship between technology and art being so highly symbiotic. And whether you approach that intersection from the viewpoint of arts or technology, there's this opportunity to explore and to innovate and to see new things together. So I expect that there's going to be, just even from that example, some wonderful work through the grid on the Tableau platform and so many other ways to realize the vision that you've brought. So in conclusion, to you both, to Open Austria, to EUNIC, I thank you for your forward thinking, your inspiration about how we can come together and generate ideas, appreciate art and appreciate technology, and use them both for good. And I look forward to the process ahead and the achievements ahead. And I thank you all for the time today, and I look forward to everything that we'll do together.
Thank you so much, Eric. And we invite the ambassador, Robert, Eric, to stay on as spectators while we launch the website and just scroll through all the activities that we have planned. So bear with me.
Clara, can I ask you something? Clara, can I ask something before you switch? Am I the only person looking at my background and realizing it's upside down?
Yes,
or is it actually? Is it upside down?
No, it's not. It's just for you. It's a mind trick.
Oh, it's a mind trick. That's terrible, because I was hoping that in some unwitting way I could actually brought some artistic inspiration into switching everything around and making grid look like Derg. But no, okay.
Much nicer interpretation anyway, yeah.
That's our subversive take on, yeah, little resistance. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you for joining us, and I will share my screen now to show you this amazing website where we want all of you to subscribe to get on the grid. All right, here we go. We're live. As you can see, this is our website, this is our logo. Art powers technology, which we truly believe, and which has been said in many different words and many different phrasings through all these amazing guests that we already had in the form of this panel. So let's check out what we have planned. So we have a virtual festival coming on at the beginning of September. We'll talk about this in a minute with our content partners. We have created Notes, Art and Tech Encounters, a monthly series of talks. Our first edition will happen today, right after the announcement of the festival. So stay tuned for that. We're also creating an award called EVE that awards excellent in art thinking. And as you can see, what the criteria are, we have a prize money of $10,000 US, and we have a very open and broad submission criteria, which is we're searching for artistic collaborations between artists and technologists that use technology to make us reflect our current state as human beings. So please check out the submission, share it with your friends and with people who might be interested. And with that, Martin, could you please introduce Hannah so I can she can talk about the solidarity grid. And in the meantime, I'd like to show you our map, which is an interactive open source tool where you can pin yourself on the map. So if you're an artist, a technologist, or a tech company and you want to be part of the grid, like actively part of the grid, please pin yourself on this open source map. And you will see, well, it's waking up.
So would you like me now to introduce Hannah, because that's a very important context. If we consider the difficulties artists and art institutions are facing around the world due to the corona pandemic, we wanted to address the needs of our artists community and show solidarity in times of crisis. So we now welcome Hannah Angeli from the French American Cultural Association, who will tell us about the Solidarity Grid and how you can support this new initiative that we are launching today. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Clara. Hi, Martin. So I'm Hannah. I work, as you said, for the French American Cultural Society. So we're a non-profit based in the Bay Area. So our main mission is to support and maintain art and cultural activities and life locally. So for us, I think we share pretty much the conviction with the grid, and that's when we joined this initiative, is that the Bay is the main laboratory of tomorrow's world, and we believe that artists must take part in the debate that will shape the future, because they are also like the main stakeholders of creation and innovation. So, as you said, Martin, we know that the COVID crisis made this particularly hard for artistic communities, and we truly think that we need to support them. We need to be there for them, and we all want to keep our festival, our local institution after the crisis. There is a crisis, but there will be an after crisis, and we need to build it together. And I'm sure that it can be better than we seek if we're together. So that's why it was very important to us to launch the Solidarity Raiser to support artistic communities in the Bay Area. And it will be very important to us to share, to donate, and to communicate about this project. So the after crisis will be more happy and with more artistic lives locally.
All right, that's wonderful. So let's basically how it works is this is a solidarity raiser of the entire international community in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's spearheaded by our French colleagues, and they're raising the funds through the French American Cultural Association, and 100% of the donated proceeds will be distributed among the local art institutions. So please, after this event, we'll share this link and go ahead and support the arts, because right, we're living in the Bay Area and we're consuming art day in, day out, and the art scene needs us. The art scene needs us right now, so don't be cheap. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Clara.
Martin, can you escort Hannah out, please? And with that, I'd like to officially say thank you to our creative agency, Dockyard. They've been amazing. Look at this fantastic website. Please, guys, go to contact and subscribe. Here you have the contact form, and you'll be part of our mailing list. Of course, we have social, we have an archive of all of our activities, and we have ongoing activities. And right now, I'd like to show you something really amazing, which is our pitch in a nutshell, 60 seconds. Put off your microphone, I think it's
Technology flings us into the future, towards efficiency and productivity and speed. What do these achievements give us, and what do they strip away? In art, we create our most profound aspirations. We recognize who we are and imagine who we must become. Both art and technology show us our horizons and seek to transcend these limits. Our world teeters on the brink of collapse. To meet this challenge, artists and technologists must come together. To imagine, to make, to create. The grid connects these two worlds by fusing their strengths. Because art powers technology.
Yay! So that's it. That's our pitch. So we're very excited about this. Please make sure to sign up. And let's move on. This is the moment where I'd like to welcome our 4 content partners. So let's start with Barry from Grey Area. I can't see you, dear friend.
No, I'm back.
Ah, excellent. I love your custom-made virtual background. Very crafty. Shows already out of the box thinking for complex problems.
Yeah, we're all in boxes these days, aren't we?
Exactly. So I'd like to welcome Miro from MUTEK San Francisco, Shamsher from 01, and Jordan from Codame. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. And also such a variety of organizations. All of you are focused on the intersection of art and technology with different focus areas. Some organizations are younger and are kind of the new kids on the block, and some have been around for quite a while, a very long time. They've changed shapes and have managed to adapt to an ever-changing cultural environment. So you guys, you're the creators of the art and technology scene in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'd like to ask you as expert, in your experience, what galvanizes this very special relationship between art, technology, and the local communities that characterizes the San Francisco Bay Area? So in a nutshell, what's the secret sauce of the Bay? And Barry, do you want to start? Because
Sure, and thanks Clara and Martin and all the EUNIC partners for putting together this initiative. We're happy to be involved and support. You know, Grey Area has been around for 11 years in San Francisco and are focused on creative action for social transformation. And so this interdisciplinary dialogue of art, science, technology, and the humanities to reveal knowledge and understand complexity around some of these big challenges society has is core to our mission. And you know, the economic miracle here is due to culture, and it's a culture of exploration and risk-taking and a desire to make a better world, but often that's not borne out. And so as the tech industry has focused less on culture and more on capital, we've wound up with a less humane society that leaves people out, as you can see by the current movement to end systemic racism in the US. And so we, I think, have a grave moral obligation to understand how capital and colonialism and discriminatory bias of all kinds is exported through the technology we deploy in the world. And we believe that interdisciplinary approaches, including the arts and culture, is a necessary component to reach and communicate these understandings. And it's one of the reasons why we think this rich dialogue with the EU and MUTEK can help explore a more ethical and regenerative relationship with technology to the world that doesn't focus on narrow solutions, but is a holistic approach that includes corporations and cultural institutions and policymakers and academics and, of course, artists. So thanks.
Thank you. That was excellent. That was beautifully said. I'll move on to Miro.
Hi, yes, my name is Miroslav Wiesner. I am the director of MUTEK San Francisco. MUTEK is a festival of digital creativity, which was started in Montreal 21 years ago now and is now in seven countries around the world. I've been a resident of the Bay Area for 18 years and been involved with arts and music for the last 25, and felt that we had an opportunity to utilize an internationally renowned platform to refocus the lens slightly from, as Barry said, the capital return from technology to the cultural return from technology, and also to utilize this platform for local arts organizations and artists to give them a more global presence, more global visibility. So I think this area is really fascinating. It's very complex and troubled as well. We have seen a severe gap between those that are generating money and those that are generating ideas, or at least cultural ideas. And we're hoping that we can be part of the solution with the help of people like yourselves at the Grid and our other peers at the arts institutions locally, to make people recognize that understanding and compassion does come from the generation of new ideas from multiple standpoints. And we have a great amount of potential from the intellectual property that's generated here, from the capital even that's generated here. And we certainly have a lot of distress and subversion that tends to build great art, which comes from the wage gap and the other massive issues that we're struggling with here. In current times, obviously, we do have other sensitivities to consider. And we have also to question ourselves, since we come more from the performance side of art, what does it mean to gather? What does it mean to be in a space together? Can you build intimacy outside of being in physical space together? So, and how can you properly represent all facets of society when you're dealing with high cost media that come with working with art and technology? So we hope that we can be part of a solution locally, and we hope that we can contribute in a way that continues to elevate local creative people and give them representation when the signal to noise ratio is heavily weighted towards capital tech and capitalism.
Thank you. Right, we'll talk about this creating community in this special times in a second. For now, Shamsher, what's your answer?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Clara. Thank you so much to Open Austria for starting this initiative, for including us along the way. Also really inspiring to hear introductory remarks from the ambassador and from EUNIC Global. Really happy to be part of this. 01 has been around in the Bay for 20 years now, so we've been around for quite some time, and really, initially cut our teeth on the meaningfulness of international collaboration through our biennial series that ran in the early 2000s up till 2012, and in recent years have been going abroad ourselves and really seeing the value in bringing artists into communities, into cultural contexts. I was, really resonating with what Robert was saying about how mutual listening and learning, co-creation, and really basing these kinds of collaborations in local contexts is the key to thinking through the next level in cultural diplomacy. So very excited to be part of all this. To speak to the Bay Area context and why it's so special, I mean, I think everything that Barry and Miro said about this emphasis on capital having driven a lot of the development that we've seen in technology, and how, while at the same time culture has been, a very powerful force in the Bay, it hasn't had the same attention, and it hasn't had the same investment. So we see potential, I think, for bringing worlds together that can resource culture in new ways and spread that value. I would point to the source of some of these things, thinking about the gold rush and the ways in which people have come here for economic resources, and that has been part of an expansionist frontier mindset that has a lot of problematic elements to it. And that combines, here in the Bay Area with this series of countercultural movements that, in my opinion, really stem from waves of migration and worker culture, one might even say, from African Americans who came here from the South to build ships for the Second World War, even further back to the Chinese railroad workers and influences on Eastern philosophy and that sort of incoming influence in the Bay, to like Cesar Chavez and the labor organizing among Central American migrant workers. That all of those, that cultural diversity really feeds, I think, our specific countercultural environment, and that I think makes this a very special place to be.
That's excellent. I mean, you've also touched upon a really important fact that this is a place with constantly battling forces that balance against each other, and by that propels competition, but of course also innovation. And that's kind of this very, very fascinating melting pot, very unique in the world, for better or worse. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Jordan. What's your answer to the question?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you. What great company. This is really a treat. So thanks for coming together, everybody. I really appreciate it. We definitely have heard a lot of interesting things, so I won't reiterate anything, except we have heard from Robert that there's this silent war, a tension. And then from Stavros, we heard that tech and art are actually the same thing. So which one of those is right? I would say both. They're the same side, or they're two sides of the same coin. And when things are that close, the smallest resonances between them can feel like rough edges. So I think that what we have is, in the Bay Area, an ability to see those dualities and accept those dualities. When you have a singular mindset and you want to accomplish one thing, everything is reduced. It's a very reductive mindset. In the Bay Area, we not only go about things like the long way, we're willing to do it straight up the wrong way. It's counterintuitive, but that's how you make space. And that's why art and technology are so tied together with their fail tolerance, the willingness to iterate, all these things that are required for the success of any project, this one included. So looking forward to doing a bunch of iterating with everybody as we get this right. I really appreciate this particular opportunity in that the way that we've been brought together has been very open. And speaking of unfettering things, that allows us to very earnestly explore each other's strengths and interests. So another thing we heard is that these are unprecedented times. I unfortunately don't feel like that's true. I think that humanity has faced impossibly difficult situations throughout the ages, and what would be unprecedented is if through our collaboration we're able to come up with some real solutions. And we have the opportunity to do that, so I'm willing to put in the elbow grease and all the work to make it happen. And I think that it's not a novelty. Art and technology are the way.
Wow, you guys are so incredibly inspiring. No wonder we want to work with you, and we want to start an experiment, right? So we're launching this virtual festival with all 4 of your organizations being equal content partners. So, and with that, I want to maybe wrap up our little session, our little meet and greet. Maybe you can answer in 1 or 2 questions what excites you most about this team effort of creating the Grid Festival with all of your institutions working together. Barry, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's exciting to, of course, showcase the talent and creativity that's here in San Francisco from a variety of diverse perspectives, but also, to use this international dialogue with the EU to engage the arts in exploring how we can create more equitable and just applications of technology to our society. So I hope that we can use this dialogue with policymakers and cultural institutions and academics and everyone, artists, architects, designers, to help understand our world better and thus try and create a better one for everyone.
Thank you. Miro.
Yes, I have stood by the idea of, again, since we are an international platform, I've stood by the idea of incorporating and partnering with local institutions as part of our mandate. I think we have a great opportunity to bring visibility outside of a local sphere and don't have the level of specificity that concentration on local creation that someone like the Gray Area does. We also benefit greatly from the knowledge in international exchange that comes from 01, and the relationship between visual art, digital art creation, and interfacing with current tech audience that Codame does. So for us, I think what excites me the most about the grid and about the collaboration with my peers is that up until now, we have been relatively siloed to a degree, all focusing very intently on our own pursuits. And I think having an outside party bring those perspectives together is really great. I'm all about juxtaposition and collaboration. And let's be honest, this has been a battle for a very long time. So the more that we can utilize the strengths and resources of each partnership, be they European, national, international, regional, local, the better off we all are, I believe. So.
Thank you. Shamsher, maybe final statement?
Sure. Yeah, well, I think what Miro is saying about the real value of bringing us together as a cohort is something that I'm really looking forward to through this initiative. You know, I have a lot of respect for everyone at the table here, for the work of Gray Area, for MUTEK, for Codame's work, and I think this is a really unique opportunity, to use the acronym, to bring us together and to do something that is distinct from what we are all doing individually. So there's huge value there. And then I think that, you know, our work with American Arts Incubator, our really flagship program these days, over the past 5 years, you know, we've been in almost 30 countries doing on-the-ground local co-creation through incubators. And we've really found value in exchanging thoughts and practices from the arts to technology and in reverse. So, you know, our incubator model borrows a lot of concepts from technological development, like Jordan was saying, you know, willingness to fail and iterate, prototyping as practice, learning how to pitch concisely your work. These are all things that are, you know, borrowed from the worlds of technology and yet apply themselves really well in the arts. So I think that the dialogue can really go both ways, and we see a lot of value in encouraging that.
Thank you. And Jordan, for a final statement.
Yeah. Just to add on to all the great work that everybody's doing here, I think that we're all here because the organizations excel at balance and navigation. That's how we wound up here. That's why we're still organizations today, is because we've managed to navigate the way through these difficult issues and realities. So I think that one of the things I'm most excited about coming together around is not just the discussions, but being able to amplify our actions. And by acting together, just like you would have lobbyists coming together to make a point in government to implement policy, if we come together and can help make programming something that exists and is just granted at any technology company, that there has to be some kind of programming around the arts, humanities, etc. I think that that's going to be a really powerful thing, and I think that together we got some strength to do it. So really excited.
That is excellent. Guys, we look forward so much to working with you. So for now, that's all. I'll let you guys out, and Martin will take over. Thank you. Thank you, Barry, Miro, Shamsher, and Jordan.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you also from my side. And I would like to bring back now our colleague from the Goethe Institute, Bettina. who will introduce you to our new series, our new initiatives, Nodes, Art and Tech Encounters. Over to you, Bettina.
Thank you so much, Martin. I'm very excited to now introduce our new format, like you said, Martin, Nodes, Art and Tech Encounters. And like Jordan said, it's an incredible treat to be part of it. Through this new series of talks, we are aiming to create a platform for regular and in-depth exchange and conversations between technologists and artists, as well as scholars and researchers from the US and from Europe. We understand Nodes as a community tool. It's a tool for the community, but it also lives from the community. Please get in touch with us if you want to participate as a speaker, in case you want to suggest participants for a topic, or if in case you want to host or moderate an edition. We are open to your suggestions and are very much looking forward to staying and getting in contact with you. Nodes is built on the findings of the investigation of the partnerships in art and tech that's been proceeded last year and continues to be an important part of our activities in 2020. Therefore, I'm super grateful that our first participants of the new series are the investigators of last year's report as well as this year's report. I want to introduce them very briefly before I hand over. Nadav Hochman is the Associate Director of Grey Area Foundation for the Arts and last year's investigator. Prior to joining Grey Area, Nadav was the co-founding director of the Tech and Arts Initiative at the Tech Museum of Innovation in Silicon Valley. In the past, he led acclaimed projects in the tech industry, academia, and the art world. His work has been exhibited in MoMA, South by Southwest, Google Zeitgeist, and featured in media outlets such as Popular Science, The Atlantic, Wired, and The Guardian. Nadav holds a PhD in art history from the University of Pittsburgh. This year's investigation is led by Dr. Vanessa Zhang. Vanessa is a writer, curator, researcher, and educator. She holds a PhD in modern thought and literature from Stanford, teaches in visual and critical studies at California College of the Arts, and curates events and exhibitions at the intersection of arts, science, and technology. Most recently, recording Cryptech at Somart's Cultural Center and the Codame Festival space. Her writing has been published in Wired, Slate, Los Angeles Review of Books, Journal of Visual Culture, among other venues. Vanessa and Nadav, thank you so much for joining us for our first edition of Nodes. Culture and the arts, and you have already mentioned that and beautifully described this past and the history and the present have always been an important and flourishing part of San Francisco and the Bay Area. The region has birthed countless cultural and aesthetic movements that have continued to shape the artistic world. One of the most important questions within the GRID's mission, and for that reason part of the investigation, is how can we bring the creative industry back to Silicon Valley? Nadav, could you please tell us more of last year's investigation and its major outcome? That would be beautiful. The screen is all yours.
Thank you so much, Bettina, for this kind intro, and for the rest of the team for putting this event together. In the few minutes that I have, I'd like to briefly give to echo some of what my colleagues said earlier about the cultural context. For the report, what we try to achieve, our motivations, and some of the insights that came out with. The backdrop for the investigation was again, what was discussed earlier, this unfortunate realization that while the innovation ecosystem in Silicon Valley to thrive due to this very rich cultural history, it is this success exactly that pushed the creative community outside of the region of the Bay Area due to obvious economic pressures. So, as we've heard before, local art organizations such as Gray Area and my colleagues from CO1, Codame, MUTEK, and Leonardo and others in the Bay Area have been dealing with this somewhat new reality for nearly 2 decades. Been focusing their work on mainly one substantial, quite major question, which is, what if the priorities of Silicon Valley and creative communities were not opposing, but instead symbiotic, which many people already discussed today, this morning. So in other words, how do we, what if the resources of Silicon Valley were harnessed not to just support the arts, which would be fantastic, but instead transform the very nature of the arts themselves. So this question was also the starting point for the report. And for the sake of this first stage of the investigation that we conducted last fall, we tried to find some answers focusing on experiences shared from within the tech industry itself. And to do so, we interviewed employees from 13 major technology companies in order to map existing models of collaboration. And we came up with 6 different models, and as you can see in the slide here. Now, I won't go into too many details about each of these models right now, since we are short on time, but building on the work that has already been done within these companies, whether in the form of art exhibitions, working with museums, artist residencies, etc., we asked our interviewees, how do we might create a more sustainable, expanded ecosystem for collaborations between artists and technologies in the near future? In other words, how do we bring back the creative community to the region in a meaningful, sustainable way, which is the same question that Tina posed a second ago. So our interviewees brought up some interesting calls for actions that I will mention briefly. The first relates to the problem of scaling. Currently, and we can go on to the next slide now. Currently, each of the programs we talk to is being developed from scratch, from very little cross-pollination of what works and what doesn't. So there is a need for unifying frameworks, systems, and trainings that will provide replicable models for implementation in tech companies. The second essential requirement that kept coming up is around matchmaking. For each tech company to get the full benefits of engaging with artistic thinking, it is critical that the right artist is selected for the right team. This applies both for hard issues such as the artist's creative approaches and the specific technology being developed by the tech team, by the company, and also obviously to soft issues such as interpersonal compatibility. The third crucial insight that came up in these interviews is the crucial need for education, both on the artistic side and on the executive side. On the tech company side, the executive side, many interviewees expressed the need to develop frameworks that will deliver the value of the arts in a business way, and how artistic thinking and methods can solve some of their pain points. And on the artist side, many interviewees expressed the need to how critical it is to teach artists how to effectively collaborate and communicate in business environments, which may not come so naturally to some artists. And the last insight that I want to mention for today is this need for a cross-functional mitigator that can help weave together all the moving parts that are involved in these type of collaborations. And we are talking about relationships, expertises, investments across the industry, art organizations, government, and academia. And as my colleagues presented before, local art organizations and foundations working on the intersection of art and technology have been working with the local creative community and tech companies to achieve some of these goals for the past 2 decades. And this exact work is going to be the focus of the next phase of the investigation that Vanessa is going to lead, and she will tell us all about it next. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Nadav, and thank you, Bettina, for the introduction. This is all very exciting. So I'm interested a little bit in how in thinking about the scope of this investigation, how the history of this intersection has been exercised and enacted in the Bay Area. Because the history of art and technology in the Bay Area goes back over a century, and it's born from the encounters of different actors and innovators who use technology to explore, expand, and critique the role of technology in culture. So I wanted to highlight a few moments in this history that reveal the nature of these entanglements. In 1878, Edward Muybridge conducted his first chronophotographic studies to find evidence for Leland Stanford's bet whether all of a horse's legs would leave the ground while it was running. Chronophotography was a technological innovation coming out of an academic and artistic context, and it would lead to the development of cinema, comics, and later motion capture. In 1969, physicist Frank Oppenheimer opened the Exploratorium at the Palace of Fine Arts with the legendary exhibition Cybernetic Serendipity. The Exploratorium established a model of hands-on discovery that would go on to inspire artists worldwide, as well as exhibit artists like Jim Pomeroy and Brian Eno. So there's an institutional and scientific dimension to this ecology. In 1970, Xerox Palo Alto Research Center started its artist in residency program, and Tom Mariani opened the Museum of Conceptual Art. Both of these initiatives exhibited dozens of artists who laid the groundwork for much of the ecosystem as we understand it today. The 90s saw the launch of Wired magazine in San Francisco, an era that coincided with the emergence of the internet industry, as many artists, designers, and engineers descended on Silicon Valley, giving us what is now Google, Yahoo, Facebook, Twitter, and others. The new millennium saw the launch of Dorkbot, Gray Area, 01, Codame, Laser Talks, and numerous other art and technology initiatives concerned with the latest technological developments. So it was a pretty quick history, giving somewhat short shrift to many actors along the way, but I don't want to minimize or belabor this history, but each of these moments in the Bay Area's long history of art and technology demonstrates the cross-sector, cross-disciplinary engagements with new technologies. So our current moment is no different, really, although the technologies are. So for this year's study, building on the insights from last year's, I'll be looking at models from other organizations in the Bay Area, building on the models from corporate encounters that Nadav examined last year. So this research will span academic institutions, art organizations, large and small, including those that are not usually understood within the art and technology dyad, because there are a number of museums and larger museums and art centers that are awakening to the urgency of addressing this intersection of art and technology. Foundations, interestingly enough, there are also a number of foundational initiatives that understand the urgency of using creative thinking to work with technology. So looking at some of those models as well. And local government, because San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose are, as the kind of three major centers of the Bay Area, also pretty invested in trying to find meaningful ways forward. I'll also look at the funding ecosystem here and how cultural capital circulates with capital. I think it's pretty important for the audiences of this study who are both in the Bay Area and in the EU to get a sense of how different these models are in Europe and how they are here. Because I think that will really offer some insight into how the grid might want to intervene and position themselves. So drawing on these different perspectives from different parts of the ecosystem, I hope to excavate and understand what is urgent, what is possible, what is responsible, and what is necessary. We're at a profoundly challenging and provocative moment in history, a time of great cultural shift. At this moment, technologies have the potential to aggravate and complicate social ills or contribute to transforming the social fabric. Art and technology has a crucial role to play in how we understand, imagine, and create that future. Thanks, Bettina.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Vanessa, for taking us back in history and sharing how you're approaching it. Well, the investigation in the report, in this year's reports, and thank you, Nadav, so very much for taking us back into the last year's investigation. I would love now to conclude today's edition by inviting all of you to our next and first in full-length edition of Notes happening on July 16th and focusing on the topic of technology and diversity. Yeah, please register on the website of the grid and also get in touch with us. So thank you so much. And I'm handing over to Clara and Martin.
Thank you, Bettina. Thank you, Nadav. Thank you, Vanessa. That was a fascinating talk. And it really was just a sneak peek into the Art and Tech Report of 2019 and 2020. You have to read it because it's a fascinating read and it will truly enlighten you. With that, I say, I will leave you here in the room because we're done. This is it. We've officially launched and we'll bring everyone back at this moment, including Robert O'Driscoll. Hey, Robert.
Hey, Clara. How are you? How are things? Hi, Martin.
So Robert is the Consul General of Ireland here in San Francisco, and he couldn't join us earlier, but so now this is the moment to announce that we have a new unique Silicon Valley member. Ta-da! So Ireland will join the crazy bunch. Robert, would you also like to address a couple of words to this wonderful constituency and maybe say why do you support the grid?
We'll just say we're super excited about joining the grid and the EUNIC cluster here in Silicon Valley. We just hot off the presses got the text message at 10 to 10 this morning to say that we could officially announce that we're joining. So very excited. And you know, for me, I suppose the two things. One, yesterday we had Bloomsday, so 98 years of Ulysses, and Ulysses had never been celebrated on Bloomsday than it was yesterday, with the way that technology was able to unleash the performances all over the world, transatlantic, regional. Our own performance here included speakers from Portland, Seattle, LA, San Francisco. So I think that cross section of technology, and obviously our artists, allows for new forms of creativity. One part of those conversations are very relevant to us. And secondly, I mean, I think the big lesson for us in Ireland over the last number of years as we've gone through this big social change is the pivotal role that the arts play in being provocative, in asking those challenging questions, and in giving safe spaces for what's supposed to be very, very difficult conversations. I think the grid, bringing together technology companies here and also our artists, are going to give us the space to have conversations around issues that are very relevant to all as we build up our society going forward. So look, really excited to be part of this. I want to thank you and Martin for your leadership. Everyone, all of our EU Consuls General friends are very, very proud of you all, what you're doing in this. And we're really, really looking forward to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Robert. We're so excited to have you join Unique Silicon Valley. That's great. We're constantly growing. If you want to be part of the grid, reach out to us, and I will hand over to Martin for final call to action, because there's a gazillion ways of how you can get in touch with us.
Exactly, and I wanted to quickly again recall our webpage where you can actually go on and get on the grid. So it's getonthegrid.org, and there you can, at the bottom of the website, get in touch with us and get all the informations. Contact at getonthegrid.org. And you will be on our mailing list. Don't forget also our various initiatives, the Solidarity Grid, where you can support our partners and local artists and local art institutions. We are also, of course, on Twitter. Get on the Grid is our hashtag, Facebook, as well as Instagram. So please go on our website, subscribe to our newsletters, get informed about our numerous activities over the coming months, in particular the Grid Festival in September. So get on the Grid, stay connected, and don't forget, this is our initiative to connect the worlds of art and technology. Art powers technology, so get on the Grid.
Excellent. And with that, maybe the final group picture, everyone just look in the camera and smile. This will be an historic moment for all eternity. So show your best side. Hey, we're live. Woohoo! Thank you so much, everyone. This concludes our session, and see you in virtual.
Thank you so much. Great seeing everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Goodbye.